Good morning, students of class 10. Here it is a video of the lesson A Triumph of Surgery written by James Harriot, a British veterinary surgeon who had a real concern for the animals, and he knows how to provide treatment naturally instead of providing medicine, which really cannot be as fruitful as the naturopathy, and it is just described so precisely, so adequately that one can understand that how much concerned he is for the animals, like Tricky, a dog, a by pet dog domesticated by that lady who was so rich, Mrs. Pumphrey. James Alfred White, he was born on 3 October 1916 and he died on 23 February 1995. Known by the pen name James Harriot, was a British veterinary surgeon and writer who used his many years of experiences as a veterinary surgeon to write a series of books, each consisting of stories about animals and the owners. He is best known for these semi-autobiographical works, beginning with If Only They Could Talk in 1970, which spawned a series of movies and television series. There are three characters in this story. They are Mr. Harriot, he is a vet, and Mrs. Pumphrey, a rich lady, and Tricky, Mrs. Pumphrey's pet dog. And this is the story that you will know all about it in a very certain manner. Tricky is a small dog and is pampered and overfed by his rich mistress. He falls ill and his mistress consults a veterinary surgeon, James Harriot, and he performs operation or not, that you have to know. Does the dog recover or not? These are the questions that you have to just know in this story. So here it happens, the story in brief you can understand. Mrs. Pumphrey was a rich lady who had a pet dog named Tricky. She loved her dog so much and was unable to refuse him anything he wanted. He wanted all kinds of sweets, chocolates, Horlicks and malt, etc. And that really he loved food. He was foodaholic. Tricky was fond of eating cream, cakes and chocolates. One day, when Mrs. Pumphrey was out with Tricky for a walk, the narrator saw them and stopped to talk. He was shocked to see Tricky because he looked like a bloated sausage. He had become very fat, his eyes were red and watery, rheumy, and he was not able to walk as properly as other dogs walk. Pumphrey explained that she believed that the pet was suffering from malnourishment. But it was not the case, as he did not have any energy and excitement. Actually, he was overfed. She told him that she used to give him malt, cod liver oil, and a bowl of Horlicks at night apart from his regular meals so that he could sleep at night. Means, though he was overfed, he was given the nourished food, and such nourishment was really dangerous for him. It was poisonous for him. Harriet realized that she had been overfeeding Tricky. He warned her that Tricky would soon fall ill, and if she did not keep him on a strict diet and increase his exercise, certainly he would be feeling very much serious. As expected by Mr. Harriot, soon Tricky got unwell, and Mrs. Pumphrey had to call Mr. Harriot. She told him that she was very upset. Why? Because Tricky was not eating anything and was vomiting frequently. Yes, he had bouts of vomiting. It was very serious thing to happen. Being a veteran surgeon in his field, he knew that the only way to get Tricky well was to get him out of the house for a few days. He then suggested to Mrs. Pumphrey that it would be good to get Tricky hospitalized and keep him under observation for a fortnight. Certainly, that would make him alright because he would be kept on a strict diet. He would be just living with some other dogs at his surgery, at his clinic where some dogs lived, and he would just do some kind of exercise and he would certainly be cured. So, what does happen? Mrs. Pumphrey nearly fainted and told Tricky would die if Tricky did not see her every day. When she was over worried that she loved him so much. But Harriet told her that this was the only option as Tricky was very ill, seriously ill. He brought the dog to his surgery and kept along with the pack of other dogs. Means there were so many dogs living at his surgery that he could live in such company. She was so shocked. For the first 2 days, he did not give him any food. Who did not give him? That Harriot, the surgeon, veterinary surgeon. But he gave him plenty of water. On the third day, Tricky, who was so listless, so energyless about the new environment, began to whimper, began to make sound when he heard the other dogs at the yard. These dogs were moving when they came to see this very new companion, Tricky. They sniffed him, but they ran away. They did not pay attention because they thought that he is such a creature who is so boring and dull and very weak, and he did not show any kind of energy. He trotted out on the third day and started playing with some other dogs. His conditions started steadily improving day by day as he was given the food. When the food was given to other dogs, he could not be able to compete with them as they were fast and sleepy and strong, but he was very alone and he was given the diet all alone. So, Harriet thought he should be given a new bowl, though he was given various kinds of cushions. He was given all kinds of the bowls and the beds, cushions that were for his morning, afternoon, and the dresses and the coats, tweed coats, so that he could wear on each and every season. So it was the very heart-touching moment for everyone. He had now started fighting for his food with other dogs. The dog had been in the new world of joy in its friendly fights and playing with other dogs when he had lived with his mistress, Mrs. Pumphrey. There was the gardener Hoskin who really was suffering from lumbago and he did not put Tricky on exercise of throwing rings. And now it was his condition. In order to facilitate the speedy recovery and improve her pet's strength, she started sending fresh eggs. Now it was another problem. Though Mrs. Pumphrey knew that he was not malnourished, and she sent because of her love, excessive love. She wanted to pour it out to that very dog, and she started sending fresh eggs, dozen of eggs, and to enrich his blood, she sent wine and brandy. Harriet and his partners at the surgery had a very good ceremony. Hmm? Now they wished that this dog could be a guest for them for a long time because they had two eggs and brandy and wine at each and every lunch hour, every meal time. So they were also just trying to make their health. But whenever Mrs. Pumphrey phoned, he dodged. Mr. Harriot dodged. He told a lie that he used to give Tricky all kinds of food sent by her, but it was false. This all fresh malt and wine and every kind of brandy was consumed by Harriot and his partners who were at surgery. So he had now started fighting. Now it was another thing that did happen. After a week, something did happen. What did happen? After a fortnight, what did happen? After a fortnight, Harriet informed Mrs. Pumphrey that Tricky was all right and was awaiting collection. Means here, Harriet was quite uh, honest in his dealings. He did not want to hide any kind of information, and so he thought that it is much better to inform. And Mrs. Pumphrey, as soon as she heard about the recovery of her dog, she came with a 30-feet steel car and she came in a hurry. She was really afraid whether she would find her dog in a good condition or what did happen to him. To her surprise, Mrs. Pumphrey found Tricky had been transformed into a hard, muscled, and active animal. It was the achievement of whom? Mr. Harriot. On seeing his mistress, Tricky swarmed over her. He leaped into her lap. He did not wait. Rather, he jumped into her lap. Mrs. Pumphrey was so much emotional, so much overwhelmed to see Tricky, to very active. She expressed her gratitude to Mr. Harriot, calling it, huh, calling it the calling the pet's recovery as a triumph of surgery because it was the place where her dog, the loveliest one, had recovered from illness and he had felt so energized and active. Now, I would like to tell you about some of the key points that you must note it down so that you can understand and keep it in a memory for a long, long time. Tricky was a small dog and was excessively loved by his mistress, Mrs. Pumphrey. He was greedy and loved food, but did no exercise. As a result, he became fat, and Mrs. Pumphrey believed that he became lazy because he suffered from malnutrition. Mrs. Pumphrey was a wealthy woman. She loved her dog very much. She gave him some little extras between meals to build him up, malt, cod liver oil, and bowl of Horlicks at night. She gave him a lot to eat, but no exercise. Once he became ill, and she was worried and made a frantic call to Harriet, who was a vet. James already had given suggestions regarding Tricky's balanced diet, but she never followed it. He was a vet. He was shocked to see Tricky is hugely fat, like blotted sausage with a leg at each corner. He advised her to cut down on the sweet things. He expected call within a few days, and it did really happen. He was called by Mrs. Pomfrey as Tiggy refused to eat. He told her that Tiggy needed immediate hospitalization for keeping under observation at his surgery for a fortnight. There he gave him no food, no medicine, but plenty of water. Gradually, he mixed with other dogs and started playing with them. He had a lot of exercises and fun at the surgery that he enjoyed very much. He was completely recovered and transformed into a hard muscle dog. James Elliot treated the dog without medicine or surgery. She was so happy. Mrs. Pumphrey became excited and filled with gratitude. She thanked Harriet and said it was a triumph of surgery. In this way, the story is concluded with the best ending, and so you can understand that how if you love someone you should not overfeed, and you if you know the right treatment, being a doctor, certainly the patient can be cured. So now thank you children, thank you all of you.